next session, which is titled Crowdsourcing the Informal Gig Economy for Scalability. And we'd like to invite our moderator for this session, Feminine Ojo. A round of applause, please. We would also like to invite on stage Pious Agar, Regional Logistics Manager for Omnibiz Africa. A round of applause, please. We would also like to invite on stage Ope Onoboye, the CEO of Render. A round of applause, please. We would also like to invite on stage Samuel Esiri, co-founder Gigmile. We can keep clapping. So over to you, Femi.
Good afternoon, all. Welcome to this section. Thank you for catching on me, Olumide. Thank you for this time, right? We're having different co-CEOs, different personnel right here. My name is Oluwafemi Ojo. Yes, I'm a public private partnership government relations expert, presently a special advisor, partnerships and innovation to the executive chairman of Fakoja, local government in Lagos State, Nigeria. It's nice to be part of the Lagos Arab Week. And yes, let's come back home to talk about the informal sector. As we all know, Lagos is actually one of the major cities in Nigeria. And yes, we can't overemphasize about that, yeah. But really, the informal sector have not been taken so seriously. We've been talking about the economy over time, and I can tell you for free that daily Lagos makes about 80 billion to 100 billion as revenue. That's without the informal sectors, right? And today we're trying to talk about how we can improve that through the future of work and to sustain that. That's why we're having our panelists here. So I would like them to introduce themselves again to talk about what they do while we move on. Thank you.
Good afternoon, all. Yeah, thank you, Femi. I'll be very happy and glad to be here. My name, as I was introduced, is Agar Pious, the Regional Logistics Manager from Omnibiz Africa. And basically in Omnibiz Africa, we digitalize the informal sector, relying on crowdsourcing and also the gig economy, because we believe that the future is informal sector. And also we believe that together we can achieve it. Thank you.
Over to you, Ope.
Okay. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Ope. I'm the CEO at Render. So what we do is basically we provide the infrastructure, the fulfillment infrastructure for the e-commerce sector, both physical and technological. What do I mean? So especially the B2B commerce, people like Omnibiz, what we do is we provide access to storage, so for their warehousing, for their order fulfillment needs. We also provide access to vehicles, that's for last mile delivery and also for retail distribution. On the technology side, what we are trying to do is to provide a platform where these customers will be able to have, for example, visibility on inventory across all the storage, whichever country they are storing their products. They can have real-time visibility on it. You can process your order with one click. And also, you can track every good that you have in transit. One thing we've realized is that the e-commerce sector processes a lot of orders on a daily basis. And it's important that there's a platform where they can easily able to track all of the activities, right? From their storage, to their order processing, to their inventory management, to their their delivery. So that's what we're building at Render. So Omnibiz is one of our customers, and so we are serving the B2B e-commerce sector, especially.
So for me, I think that's great to hear. I would like to hear from you too, right?
Okay, so my name is Samuel Esiri, and I'm the co-founder and COO for Gigmile. At Gigmile, we are simplifying access for informal workers to work in the digital economy. So the Uber drivers, the delivery men, we are making it very easy for them to come into the digital economy, work with platforms like Uber, Global Bolt, and the likes. In recent years, we've seen the launch and scale of these digital platforms in Africa. Platforms like Omnibiz, like Jumia, like Bolt, like Global. They continue to scale, but they also have a very heavy dependence on the informal sector. The likes of the drivers, the sales reps that they actually need to scale their business. We are making it easy for these informal workers to actually succeed by providing them with the right training, providing them with asset financing, and all the key services that they require to excel working with these digital platforms.
So, with everything that you've talked about, I want to ask you a question. What do you think is actually limiting the informal gig today? I want to start from you. Yeah.
Limiting, I don't think. So I think one of the major limitation is access to the tools that they need. So I'll give you an example. I have a client that needs vehicles, right, for delivery. And you have a lot of people that can drive, right? So I guess that's one of the solutions that Gigmile is solving. So you have a lot of people that are unemployed that can drive, but they don't have access to these vehicles because they can't afford it, right? So that's one of the biggest challenges right now. Because if you look at the e-commerce sector, I mean, there's a huge need for assets and for a lot of tools that are needed, right? I mean, you speak to someone like Pious. One of the biggest issues is, every day we need vans, we need vans, we need vans. But there are so many people out there that can drive vans, but they don't have access to vans. So somebody has to be able to finance those vans for these people and say, hey, we see that you can, just like Uber, just like you see, there's a company that does it for Uber at the moment, right? And they just provide the assets for these guys. So I think we can impact the informal sector a lot more if we're able to create financing for this type of people that don't have jobs, but they can't actually do the work.
Okay, but at Gigmile, what do you think is actually limiting this informal economy?
So in terms of limitation, I think Ope has actually given a very good start to that. And when we speak about the financing bit of it, in this part of the world, we understand how crazy unemployment rates are. Like there are loads of people that are actually trying to access jobs. And on the other hand, when we look at digital platforms don't also have access to enough people to fulfill the orders that they have. Sometimes they cannot scale because they have limited people to actually do delivery. If we see unemployment is high in this country, and platforms are looking for people to do delivery, it's not a problem of the people not being available. It's actually a problem of the people that are available don't know how to actually access these jobs. Even when they do, they don't have the assets to actually do the jobs. You need a mobile phone, you possibly need a bike, you need a delivery van. Those things don't come cheap. The major problem, again, is the fact that these guys cannot walk into the bank and say, I want a loan for you to buy a bike so I can actually start working on a Jumia or an Omnibiz. It's difficult for them. You need to think of how else can you finance these guys that don't really have like a financial history, that are kind of like underserved and underbanked. How else can you give them these assets and connect them to the jobs that they want? So these are the key limitations that we are facing in the industry. And like Ope said, having a proper means to finance these guys and also educate them on how they can succeed is very important for us.
Pious, before I come back to you, you talked about the fact that people cannot access these jobs. So my question still remains that, have you tried community outreach? I know that I'm very certain that across Nigeria, across board, I'm sure of cities where internet is actually still fluctuating. Have you tried, and we have people there, young people that have expertise in all these areas you talked about. Have you tried doing a community outreach to see if you can pick up numbers from there or have tractions?
So, I'll come into answer. I think for us, right, I'll give you an example. We employ, casual workers across different, parts of our business. For example, for every warehouse that you open, you have casual and permanent staff. So you have people that are loading, people that are picking. So you have opportunities, and we employ them from that community. So we're already creating a lot of opportunities within the community for everything that we do. But that is just one type of job, all right? There's a lot of opportunities that exist within e-commerce for a lot of the unskilled and the informal workers. And I'm going to, so I'll give an example. I had a conversation with a company. I said, hey, you know what, we want to partner with you. We have hundreds of drivers in the community that want to drive, but they don't have assets. Can you provide assets? And the first thing they said to me is, oh, they have to put down 30% of the value of the assets. And I said to them, if these people have 30% of the value of your assets, they'll probably be doing something else. So they wouldn't be unemployed. But I think the thinking has to change with these financing companies to say, hey, somebody, it's all good saying that you are trying to impact the informal sector. But the question is, how tailored is your solution to ensure that it's actually serving these people? So there's a lot of opportunities within e-commerce, I can tell you that. Whether it's in fulfillment, whether it's in last mile, whether it's for the bike riders. You understand the bike riding, whether it's for the bike riders, whatever it is, there's a lot of opportunities. But there were guys that were doing this financing thing, the guys, the Opes, people like that. But now, with that being shut down, there's not a lot of people like Gigmile that are actually thinking, okay, let's finance the tools. They mentioned mobile phones. Most of our customers, you can't work for them without a smartphone, right? So even if you are working with a render and you are driving, for example, for Omnibiz, a lot of our drivers that come in, they can't drive because they don't have smartphones. So we are having to look for solutions to ensure that, and these guys are not educated, but they have to be able to use a smartphone because it's digital. So we are having to look for solutions on how we can educate them, how we can still help them to drive and make money, even though they're uneducated. So there's a lot of thinking that goes into this process, and it's a day-to-day thinking. So it's not really straightforward with the unskilled economy.
Thank you, Ope. I'm going to come back to the Ope case study, but I want Pious to talk about what he feels actually from his own point of view is limiting the gig economy. Yeah.
All right, thank you very much. Like you rightly asked, what are the limitations in the informal sector? As Omnibiz, we have great solutions for those problems in the informal sector. Like, if you look at it, some of them, even when they graduate among us, they don't want to go to informal sector, even the educated ones and both the uneducated ones. We didn't leave anybody behind. As far as you can drive, as far as you can use, we digitalize it in the sense that you can own a sense of ownership, that you are your own boss, that you are working a legitimate source of income you are earning. So there is no discrimination, because if you look at the unemployment rate in Nigeria, most people don't want to go to informal sector. So we bring solution to the informal sector by digitalizing it. We don't even call our drivers. We call them VSR, one sister, because you are expected to represent us, to give out those things. So you are solving a solution of Mama Nkechi that is selling, and you are earning from it. So we digitalize it. So that problem has been solved. But if you look at it in another way, you talk about the finances. Yes, we also have buy now, pay later platform, whereby we engage those retailers. So in terms of finances, we outsource it to the render, like he rightly said. If you look at it, instead of us having it all, it's a complex situation. So we break it into pieces by outsourcing it to them, then giving them also a platform to earn and also to engage these people. And when they are engaged, there is no way they will think of crime. So we have solved that problem to some extent.
Thank you. For me, everyone has talked about, yes, you want to bring them on board. Nobody's talked about scaling, right? Nobody talked about sustainability. And the sustainability for me is training. Have you thought about trainings? How do you get them on board? Trainings? Yes, I have access to these jobs. How do you get the best out of me? That should be part of how we can scale the economy. Because yes, if they have access to the jobs and they're not being trained, you may not really get the best out of them. So for me, my question is, how do we scale the informal economy in itself?
When it comes to scaling the informal economy, training, like you said, is very important. But when you think of the demand that the gig economy needs and the cost of training, it's quite expensive to train. Why? If you try to say you want to run digital trainings like You want to create like YouTube trainings for these guys to actually use. You want to create an app for them to go and get trained. It will take a very long time to actually penetrate that market because most of these guys that you're trying to onboard don't even have smartphones. If you want to train them, you need to put them in a room and train them. When you think of the demand that the gig economy needs, you need multiple hundreds of rooms to be training people from time to time to actually achieve that result. And that is expensive. But it is very important for the gig economy. At Gigmile, we actually take training as a very important point. And as a matter of fact, because these guys are kind of like underserved, they don't really have a lot of financial history, we always apply an alternate scoring whereby when we train them and they actually pass that, it feeds into what we call their credit score to say, okay, yes, it increases their threshold of, okay, can you get the assets? If you don't pass that test, you have to go back and get trained again before you can actually like get the assets that we would give to you. Very important for us to actually put training into it. However, there is a whole lot of tech development that needs to actually come into that space. We need to digitize a whole lot the acquisition of these gig workers. Why? When they work on platforms like Omnibiz, it is very, very high risk. These gig workers are being saddled with a lot of responsibility from the digital platforms. And Uber, for example, is putting the life of a passenger in the hands of a driver. And Omnibiz is giving you parcels to go and deliver that actually runs into hundreds of thousands. If you give it to just anybody and the person disappears, it's a loss to the business. When we look at identity management in the country, yes, a whole lot of work has been done on NIN, but we still see scenarios, we've had funny scenarios of people actually having like double NINs and funny things like that makes the identity system a little faulty. If we cannot fix those basics, that makes it easy to actually acquire people and onboard them, and know that when you put that responsibility in their hand, to a very large extent, you can sleep as a platform, then we will still have a very long way to go. So in terms of scaling this, there's a lot of digitization that we need to do, and the faster we actually adopt that and try to drive it, the better, the faster we would actually reach that point.
Okay, I want to say this. I'm very quite sure that the Lagos state government in itself is trying to make Lagos a smart city. And one of those reasons is to make Lagos a fourth industrial revolution state and a city in itself, yeah? So what is the role of government, right? You know, he talked about there's no data. I'm sure of that, yes? But I don't want to support the government right now to say, yes, we have data. But Lagos State government is actually trying in regards to capturing everybody's data. And I'll come back to that. That's why I wanted to use Ope as a case study to what I'm very sure the Lagos State government is actually doing right now in regards to be able to capture Lagosians' data, coming to Lagos, coming outside the country. There's a plan ongoing at the moment because they really want to make Lagos a smart city. What do you think is the role of the government, really? When you talked about they still have challenges regards to data of the informal guys that want to come on jobs and all of that. What should be the role of the government in making sure this works?
So I think the government is an enabler, right? In developed countries, the government enables trade, like easy trade, right? Whether it's between the informal or the formal sector. You mentioned Ope, right? One government regulation crumbled a lot of businesses. And because of that, thousands of people went back to the streets. So I think the first thing that the government needs to do is just to enable, like just allow people to work, right? We don't even need you to do anything. Don't even try to, businesses are sustainable. Businesses are raising their own funds, right, from the private sector. Nobody's asking the government for anything. All we're saying is when you see businesses thriving, now I saw a startup bill that was raised recently, and they're saying they're going to start taxing tech startups. Why? Because they see people raising millions, right? It's one thing, you're not enabling them in the first place, so why are you not trying to then crumble the ones that are doing it? So the informal sector itself, it's a funny one, because the easiest way to get informal sector data is to create opportunities. You have to drop these people in with an opportunity. If you say to informal guys, you want to run a training, come and get trained on sales, nobody will show up because they don't see any money in it. If you say to them, I have a bike, come and get a bike, but for you to get a bike, you must get trained, right? They will show up because they can see the money in that bike. Do you understand? If you say to them, hey, come and work in a warehouse, right? But for you to work in my warehouse as a loader, I must train you. They will show up. Why? Because they can see money. So you need to have something that is drawing them in, and through that you can get their data. Because right now I have data of all my informal guys. All my drivers, I have their data. I have where they live. I have everything about them. I have their driving license. I have everything about them. My workers. But I had to create an opportunity to draw them in. So training comes with opportunities for the informal sector. You can't. Almost everybody here is educated, right? For the informal guys, they don't care about your trainings and all that, except they see that there's something at the end of that training that's going to ensure that they are making money. So I think what needs to happen first is we need to keep on creating opportunities for them to make money. Number two, we also need to give them the tools that they need to make money. So whether, we've mentioned already, create opportunities, give them the tools, right? And then keep on engaging and training them. Because there's a lot of them out there and there's a lot of opportunities for them. So those two things are very important for me. But the government, just allow people to do their jobs. Nobody's asking you for anything in the government.
So let me take you back to this, right? You talked about creating an environment, right? So, and I'm very sure, I want to take you back to the model Ope used. I'm sure you are aware of that. There were bikes that were created, they were channeled to people, and they were given phones, smartphones. And I think over time, people start to pay stipends as soon as, and you can own your bike. If not because of the government policies that stopped that, that would have been pretty much more achievable. Have any of maybe Gigmile, Omnibiz started using that kind of model? And that's what Ope is saying. Have you started using that kind of model? I know it's so expensive, but that's a model that draws. At a point, Ope had about 15,000 riders at some point. And it's just over time they improve on that model to say, oh, we know that these informal guys do not have access to resources. How do we get them on board is to give them everything, all the equipment needed to achieve this. Have you thought of going that route? Omnibiz, please.
Oh, thank you. The informal sector is very diverse. In Omnibiz, we do business to business. So we outsource some of these operations, like Render is our partner, like Gigmile is our partner. So we give those retailers, we deal basically with retailers, we give them the opportunity. I mentioned it earlier. I said that we have what we call buy now, pay later. So buy now, pay later, which is PBL. If you check our app, you see it there. So we make that provision. Then coming to the issue of government, when you ask Zika the question, I think is to provide the enabling environment. If they need the data of retailers in entire Nigeria, not only in Lagos, you can come to Omnibiz, pay us better money, we'll give you the data. And also, we need a tax windows, whereby we are doing so much because these people are not captured. They feel left out. Like I said, Mama Bimbo can sit in her shop, at the comfort of her shop, just with the advent of social media and internet. She can just download our app, our retail app, other goods on the platform. We provide those things. We have broadband, we pay for the internet. Government need to encourage us, not to overtax us, not to burden us, because we are providing solution to the people that feel left out in the scheme of things. So you see, like solution of we supporting, rightly, like I said in my first opening speech, that we provide buy now, pay later. Yes, but again, we don't even collect only collateral. It's just for you to register on our platform. No collateral, nothing, but we have your detail as you are registering. So we use that detail. If you don't pay, you will not be able to reorder. You have to pay the previous one before we can service you again. That also encourages them, because we have placed a lock on you so that you will be able to pay. And it helps them to scale up in their operation. Imagine your shop, you need noodles, you need Milos, and you need other products. And if you don't have it, you will lose those your customer. When I come to your place and you don't have a sachet of Milo, what will I do? I'll go to the next shop. And when I go to the next shop, I'll buy everything. So we capture the retailer, the FMCG industry, in informal sector. Then we outsource our day-to-day delivery to our partner like Render, like Gigmile. So they also part of the process.
Thank you. So for me, my last question before the audience, right? What's the role of technology in all of this? Yeah, thank you.
I mean, technology allows you to centralize everything. So right now, fulfillment and logistics is very decentralized. It's fragmented right now. So an Omnibiz has to engage maybe about 300 partners, because they have so many orders they have to fulfill every day, right? So they have to be searching. So for them to fulfill the orders, they have to engage so many different partners to do that. So it's very decentralized. And what technology does is it allows you to bring everything together. So for example, with the fulfillment centers that we run for Omnibiz, you can literally do everything in one place. I mean, they have a fantastic platform where, we can literally see orders that are coming in from customers. We can pick those orders. As the orders are coming into these fulfillment centers, we are seeing it live. They can tell me from the head office, you haven't uploaded these items. Why haven't you uploaded? Because they can see it on their side. On our side, as we are picking the items, they are also seeing it. As we are loading it onto a truck, they are seeing it. As the orders are going out for deliveries, as they are being delivered, they are seeing it. So everybody has visibility. We know what is in every single warehouse or fulfillment center. So that's what technology does. And as I said, the woman in the shop, she places the order. She doesn't know what happens within the fulfillment system. The only thing she knows is that somebody turns up and drops that item at the shop. So that is the power of technology. It brings a system that is fragmented and it becomes centralized and it becomes easy for every stakeholder. Us as their partner, the customer themselves, and also the user on the field.
Gigmile?
So I think the role of technology in scaling the gig economy. Ope was actually true testimony to what can actually happen in a short while when you apply technology right. I can't imagine what would have happened across the entire Nigeria if Ope was actually left to continue running operations the way they were doing. Would have lifted a whole lot of families out of poverty. Because these riders were making money. They were making money to the point that even white-collar workers were envious of them. They were actually making good money. If we apply technology right, we would be able to scale the gig economy very, very fast. Like I said earlier, the people are there. There are a lot of people trying to look for a means of making money. I remember seeing a tweet. Someone had tweeted that the unbanked don't want to be banked. They just want to know how, they want you to show them how to make money. They want to make money. That's the true picture of the gig economy. If we're able to take steps to tell these guys, come into the gig economy and make money, give them the right training, give them the right financing, give them the tools they need to actually thrive, they will come in and we'll be able to scale it very, very fast, just like we saw traction with Ope then. Thank you.
Pious?
Yeah. The role of technology in informal sector cannot be overemphasized. Like in Omnibiz, we rely on technology. All of us were alive and were in year 2020 when the coronavirus came sweeping. Many people could not go out. There was a restriction in movement. So with technology, you can place an order on our app, and then we fulfill it to you without even interacting with anybody, so that there will be no issue of COVID-19. Because we provide essential duty, the government level, we leverage on that, and they were giving permit. So with technology, they were able to what? To place order. I asked a question, can we survive without food? Maybe probably 2 days. But Omnibiz give you a platform that you can even buy all your grocery, your beverage, your food on our platform with the help of technology, without you going to the market, without you losing 1 minute of your time, while you are also chasing your number, because that time is very vital in making money. Again, we have, with the help of technology, we are able to track our orders. I give you an example. When we started in Kaduna, in northern Nigeria, we can be very funny. we gave a VSR shipment to fulfill, just like Render. He didn't go to the retailers. He just went to the market and started selling it to everybody and come back. And we're like, so fast. So we give our retailer one-time password. It's when I come to you, you will release the password to me. Then I will impute it that it has been successfully delivered. In case what you order for is not what they bring, because, of course, sometimes you may be pressing super pack, but you press regular. So you can also give the OTP, and we have a reason on our platform. Wrong item. Maybe she placed order on maybe while she was talking or gisting or something. So technology helps us to scale up so that we'll be able to track our process and also reconciliation in our cash collection. We use technology so that once you reconcile, we'll not say, where is the money you have not paid? No. Technology helps us to, curb this loophole.
So before we come to an end of this section, I don't know if the audience have any question. Can signify if you do. Okay, just somebody is raising up. Please, can you help with the mic so that you can ask this question?
Okay, good afternoon. So my question goes to the aspect of training. So I have a bit of background in training. And when I used to handle training for the customer experience team in the bank, I understood that many times physical trainings seem to have a shorter retention versus giving people the platforms where they can always access the knowledge they need. So I wanted to know what challenges you had around training people, because you said that the critical thing was that there was not enough skill set. So almost like what is happening in the tech space, where people are plugging the gap by providing tech training, like like Andela and the others, to close the gap so that there's enough tech talent for the platforms. Is there any need or is there any plan to create a platform that makes training easier for people in that informal economy so that they can quickly upskill? And do you think that's an opportunity for maybe a training startup or even a branch out for your business? So how big do you think the problem or the need for fast upskilling is? And is it just a training know-how, or is it like a full-blown business? I don't know if my question is clear.
Okay.
So I think that's...
Okay, so training is a very key element of the informal space. If we really want to scale the informal space, we need to take training very seriously. At Gigmile, it's a core component of our business. Even though we've not implemented ways to deliver digital trainings to this informal space, we still rely on physical trainings, but little by little, we've started to adopt digital trainings for our community. So the moment you're part of the community, you've been set up, you have your smartphone, then we can actually enroll you for digital trainings, refresher trainings from time to time. As far as I'm concerned, if we really want to scale to meet the demands of the future of work that is going to exist, physical trainings would not help us meet that. Like I said earlier, physical trainings is very expensive. They're actually very expensive to run. If you can digitize it, it helps you reach more people faster, and it actually delivers more value, and it helps people take trainings at their own time when they are more relaxed, and you get more value out of that training. Digitizing it is very key for us at Gigmile, and it's something that we strongly believe would help us drive the scale of the gig economy. So for your question, yes, we actually have that plan to digitize. We've started taking steps towards that. It's not at 100% yet, but we've already started taking the steps in the right direction.
Thank you.
Let me chip in a question, right? You're talking about digitalization. Yes, we all know, but I can tell you for free, we have undeserved communities. And when you digitize, how do you chart results? How do you chart impacts? It's actually the most important thing. I think we should be able to, analyze that. How we chart impact. It's not about digitalization alone. That's my opinion. I'm just trying to ask that question. What do you think?
So, sorry, before we go into that, I wanted to follow up on what he said. Now, the gentleman that asked about training, I think, and then I'll refer to the e-commerce sector where we play, right? There are two different kind of skills you're looking for: soft skills and technical skills, right? For example, anybody that works within the e-commerce space, you must be able to communicate effectively. You might not be educated, but you must be able to communicate, right? That's a soft skill. If you're a driver, like I mentioned, you must have interpersonal skills because you're going to relate with different people on a daily basis. You don't want to fight the retailers. Imagine me sending my driver to go and deliver to, let's say, an Omnibiz, one of their retailers, and you get there, and because you're angry, you start shouting at the customer. You are spoiling my business and in turn spoiling an Omnibiz business. So you have a lot of emotional intelligence, communication, and soft skills. Then you have the technical skills, which is like driving. So if you're going to drive a van, you must be able to drive a van. If you're going to work in a warehouse, you must have certain skills that pertains to that job. So I think there's a lot of opportunity for upskilling, but it's also specific to say, okay, is it soft skill or is it technical skills that we're trying to build? So there's a lot of opportunity for training within this space, but I think soft skills is lacking, and also technology training is very big. You're talking about digitalization. A lot of people don't understand technology yet within their space because we want a Korope driver, for example, to deliver for us. But he doesn't care about technology. All he has is a Nokia smartphone. He doesn't want to know about your app. He just wants to make money. But you have to educate him on the reason why he needs that app and why it's important for him to use that app. But how do you do that? First, draw him in. Let him see that there's money to be made. Let him see that there's opportunities. By the time he does it once, twice, 3, 4 times, and he sees real money in his hands, by week 2, and you say, oh, God, you know what? You can't go back on the field or else you learn how to use my app. He will come because he has tasted the money. But if you go to, and this is reality on the field, if you go to the field and say to a guy, come and use our app, most of our guys just say, this is too hard. I don't want to do it. It's too hard for me. But let them see the opportunities first, right? And then you can then start to then upskill them gradually while they're on the job. So that's my own view on it.
All right. To answer his question, yes, in Omnibiz, we have a dedicated line which we call training manager and also the delivery experience, whereby they train our VSR. Even when they train them and they send them to us, we have to inculcate our own culture. Like he rightly said, the interpersonal skill, we need those retailers to sustain the platform. Yes, and also we have a training whereby the scout, we have the retail scout that move from retailer to retailer to teach those retailers on the usage of the app. And also, with our app, you can be able to know your profit. You see somebody open a kiosk and then within a year, the business go down. You say, village wishes. No, it's not everything that is actually village wishes. What is your daily income? What is your profit? If you are doing contribution, like I told my mother, your contribution should be half of your income, your profit. So you have to put the half of your profit into contribution. But what do we see? We see whereby retailer will sell because he see huge sum of money. We will be doing contribution, not knowing that your capital is also going there. So we train them on to know that this is how you use it. On our app, when you open it, you know how much you buy your inventory, then how much you are selling, how much is your profit, and when it's going also you will know. So we solve that. We carry them along, both in training, in information, in education, and in every sector.
So thank you, Pious. Thank you, Ope. Thank you, Esiri, for your time. We've come to the end of this section. Thank you, everyone, for listening.